Alright, let's continue some more of these remembering how we met, shall we? And hopefully I do a longer video. But yeah, let's continue reading. Once school let out, I finally found Mia-san on her usual bench in the central courtyard. I had looked here a dozen times during the afternoon, but she was never there.
やっぱり移動してるんだわ。まだまだ私の知らないミヤさんの隠れ場所があるのかもしれないわ。
Oh shit, I remember that part.
ミヤさん。
Obviously, I was a little worn out. I was out of breath and my throat was dry.
お疲れ様リサさん。よかったらこれどうぞ。
Oh, she just appeared out of nowhere. I thought she actually literally left the school. She poured some tea from the nearby pot and held it out to me.
ありがとう、ミヤさん。
And all of a sudden she'll be like, wait a sec, I'm not falling for that. Why are you not in class? I was so thirsty I took it without thinking.
これすごく美味しいわ。そうでしょう。これ私のお気に入りの紅茶なのよ。こんな美味しいの初めてかも。おかわりはいかが？そうね、いただき。ダメ。そんな手には乗らないわよ。
Yep. I knew that's gonna happen.
もう遠慮はいらないのに。とっても美味しそうに飲んでいたのに。真面目なクラス委員長さん。不覚だわ。いくら喉が渇いていたからって敵から賄賂を受け取るなんて。
Well, it seems Risa got manipulated after all. I wouldn't call it manipulation though. There are many different reasons depending on the situation, that is.
賄賂ってお茶一杯でそこまで大げさにならなくても。いいえ、危うく流されてしまうところだったわ。
I couldn't forget the real reason I was here.
ミヤさん、授業を1時間しか受けないとかふざけてないかしら。そうね。
Yeah, not at all. She poured another cup of tea, which she started to drink herself. She appeared to be enjoying a carefree tea time. Where did her composure come from?
それで続きはリサさん。もう。
Given the current mood, especially now that I drank her tea, I felt like complaining wasn't going to accomplish much.
いいわ。今日は諦めたわ。もう授業も終わったし。そうね。それじゃ私も帰るわね。
Uh-oh. She put away the teapot and stood up.
しょうがないか。あ、そうだわ。
Without thinking, I called out to her.
ミヤさん、急いでないのならちょっとお話ししない？え？リサさんが私と？そうよ。用事があるなら諦めるけれどね、たまにはいいでしょ？ええ、まあでもお説教だったらすぐ帰るわよ。
Oh man, that's a very complicated condition.
それはしません。
I said so plainly, so Mia-san nodded her head and took a seat next to me. I wanted to get to know her better. With that goal in mind, I started talking to her about all sorts of things. About school, about our classmates. The conversation wandered randomly.
そんなにリサさんは学校が好きなの？好きっていうか、皆勤賞を狙っているから休みたくないのよ。
Mia-san looked at me as though she was regarding some unusual creature.
黙り込まないでよ。だってびっくりしたのよ。リサさんらしいといえばらしいんだけど。だってね、委員の仕事をしたり解禁だったりすると先生の受けがいいから就職や進学に有利だったりするのよ。
I would agree with that.
それで？だったら狙うのが当然でしょ？私、これまでそんなこと考えたこともなかったわ。というより、この三ヶ女でもそんな考え方をする人っているのね。まあ三ヶ女の場合、卒業後はそのままエスカレーターで上の学校に進むか、親の仕事関係の会社に就職するか、お見合いするか、そういう人が多いけれど。
Escalator program. Maybe there weren't many people who gave much thought to their permanent record. But given that I didn't have any connections, I had to work extra hard. I'd seen all the hardships my mom had gone through, so it was never too early to start acting with your future in mind. そうね。本当にのんびりしてるものね。ここの人たちは。ミヤさん。She had a far-off look in her eyes. What kind of school had she attended before this? I was really curious, so I just blurted out the question. ミヤさんは三ヶ女に来る前はどこの学校に通っていたの？私は The name she said was an extremely well-known preparatory school. I was nothing short of surprised. ミヤさん、なぜそんな超進学校からこの三ヶ女に来たの？それは言いたくないわ。そう、分かったわ。Somehow an atmosphere of tension had developed between us. その学校にいたとき、何か嫌なことでもあったのかしら。But I couldn't push the issue any further. Even so, I still wanted to know a little bit more about Mia-san. For example, what her day-to-day life was like, or her family. ねえ、ミヤさんのご両親は何をしている方なの？Oh, she is still displeased right there. When she heard that, her mood seemed to get even worse. そういえば前にもご両親のことを聞いて彼女の機嫌を損ねたような。どうしてそんなことを聞くの？リサさん。I don't know if it's actually a trigger question, but okay. それはもっとミヤさんのことが知りたいからよ。ちゃんと知りたいのよ。余計なお世話よ。そんな。The air suddenly turned frigid. The intensity of rejection coming from her was like a wall. リサさん、
もうあまり私につきまとわないで。そんな、ミヤさん。
She spoke with a harshness I had never heard from her before. I was so shocked I couldn't even say anything.
私、失礼するわ。
As I watched her walk swiftly away, it was a long time before I was able to move from the bench.
別にあんな言い方するつもりじゃなかったのに。
I had finally managed to have an ordinary conversation with Risa-san. It was precisely what I had been hoping for some time now. My wish was finally granted today.
彼女は、リサさんは別に普通の話をしてきただけよ。それなのに、私ったら。
Well, all she did was ask you a simple question and you kind of snapped at her. She had no knowledge of my situation, so she certainly didn't mean anything by it. She just asked a harmless, innocent question concerning my parents. In my head, I knew that was all it was.
でも、だけど。
Whenever my parents were mentioned, I found it difficult to control my feelings. It was extremely painful. She must have a deep story on that one.
リサさん。
What on earth did she think of me now? Just thinking about it made my heart ache. I wouldn't have been feeling this way if it had been anyone else.
リサさん、ごきげんよう。
Another normal day, as usual.
ごきげんよ
My classmates were politely exchanging greetings. It was a common sight every morning. The only thing that was different was me.
う。昨日はずいぶん怒らせてしまったわね、ミヤさんを。
That just made me want to know about her even more. The only reason I asked about her parents was because I was kind of curious. Well, as always, curiosity kills the cat. I never could imagine she would refuse as strongly as she did. This whole morning, I'd felt pretty dejected.
まだ怒っているかしら。
She can't be that mad. I wouldn't say she would take it too personally. I mean, I was like that back. I don't know, like whenever I ask simple, harmless questions, people get all... I don't know. It's all because when it comes to me going to Twitter, talking to my IRL on Facebook, yeah. I hope she would show up like usual. She's gone. I entered the classroom, but it was no surprise that Mia-san wasn't there. Usually she would just leave her bag behind, but that was missing too.
もしかして本当に来ていないの？
I guess so. Growing concerned and without thinking, I asked one of my habitually early classmates if she knew anything.
ミヤさんは今日まだ来てないのかしら？え、ミヤさんですか？そういえば今朝はまだ見かけておりませんわね。そう、ありがとう。
I was getting worried, but maybe she was just running late instead of skipping.
でも、も もしかして。
What if she hadn't come because of what happened yesterday? She was in such a bad mood. What if that was why she didn't come to school today?
いろいろ考え出したらすごく不安になってきたわ。
Maybe I was just worrying too much about her. Maybe she was just a bad egg who had gone from skipping class to skipping school entirely.
堕落していくだけじゃ済まないわ。
My vision grew dim.
リサさん、顔色が悪いようですけど平気ですか？まあ本当だわ。保健室に行かれた方がよろしいのでは？
平気です。
でも
I was usually careful not to do anything that would worry my classmates, but I didn't have that kind of composure right now, and I quietly took my seat.
ミヤさん、お願いだから早く来てよ。
皆さん、ごきげんよう。
Here she comes.
もう
In the midst of everything, the teacher had arrived. She began taking the morning's attendance.
綾瀬さんは、あら、いないの？誰か見ていないかしら。
Nobody spoke up to respond.
変ね。今朝、正門で綾瀬さんの家の車見かけたのに。
I had seen a car come to drop off and pick up Mia-san several times, as they did with many of the students at the school.
それなのに来ていない。やっぱり私のせい。
あ、安住さん、どうなさったのですか？
私、ごめんなさい。失礼します。
I rushed out of the classroom, unable to simply sit and do nothing.
もう授業が始まる前にサボってしまったら皆勤賞がもらえなくなるかも。でも
But there was no way I could have sat still and paid attention to the lesson.
だってこんなこと初めてじゃないの、ミヤさん。
She had to have been at school. If I could just find her like I always did. I searched each and every one of Mia-san's favorite places to hang out when she was cutting class. The empty classrooms, near the assembly hall, the schoolyard, and the gymnasium. I searched high and low until the only place left was Mia-san's most favorite spot of all, the bench in the central courtyard.
ここにいなかったらもう
However,
いないわ。
I even went all the way to the back where there were hardly any signs of life. But Mia-san was nowhere to be found.
荷物もないし、もしかして校内にはいないの？
I wasn't prepared for this, and I felt all the strength drained from my body.
一回学校に来てるのにそのまま行方不明だなんて、もう心配でたまらないじゃない。
I really wanted to know that she was just cutting class somewhere on campus like she always did. If that's all it was, then
どうしよう。
maybe I should just go back to the classroom. Or maybe I should keep looking for Mia-san. You know, if there, I don't even know why I'm stuttering, but there would be a choice on that one. If I went back now and explained the situation to the teacher, she might still let me off the hook. After all, she was the one who had asked me to watch out for Mia-san.
今ならまだ皆勤賞を。
I suddenly looked up at the school building. Class was still in session, so it was incredibly quiet. I was just about to take a step back towards the building when I shook my head. No, this wasn't right.
もう本当に何やってるのかしら私って。
I couldn't hold back my feelings, couldn't hold back my urges any longer.
ミヤさんのバカ見つけたら思いっきり文句言ってやるんだから。
I rushed out of the school, running as fast as I could.
ミヤさん
I ran up and down the streets, aimlessly. I didn't have the first clue where Mia-san would go.
昼間から学生が時間を潰せそうなところは公園とかかしら。
There were several parks that I knew of in the area. A cafe where she could relax and have tea. A bookstore, a corner store. I tried every place I could think of. But no matter where I looked, Mia-san was nowhere to be found.
お願いよ早く見つかって。
I got a text message from one of my classmates. It read, "You really weren't feeling well, were you?"
そういえば顔色悪いなんて心配今までされたことなかったわね。
It was good that my sudden departure from the classroom hadn't aroused any suspicion, at least. Right now, I just wanted to focus on finding Mia-san.
もうあとはどこに行けばいいのよ。
I almost felt like crying. From anxiety, from worry, from hopelessness.
ミヤさんもうどこにいるのよ。
I told myself to stop whining. Now, more than ever, I needed to stay calm and focused.
こんな時間に迎えの車を呼べるわけないから徒歩で行ける場所のはず。絶対遠くには行っていないわ。あと探してないところは。
Maybe the shopping district near the station. But someone hanging around there in the middle of the day wearing the St. Michael's uniform would be even more likely to stand out. That's why I've been ignoring that area.
でもミヤさんなら堂々としていそうよね。
Dragging my exhausted body along, I headed toward the station. My intuition had been right on the mark. I found Mia-san wandering aimlessly in front of the station. I felt a great sense of relief, and the tension I had been carrying this whole time went out of me all at once.
見つかって本当によかった。
I had been right on the verge of tears.
ちょっとリサさん、ここは学校の外なのよ。それにこの時間ってまだ授業中でしょ。 こんなところまで探しに来るなんてすごいクラス委員長さんね。
ミヤさん、よかった、無事で。
無事って、リサさん、あなた。
The faint, relaxed smile she had been wearing vanished. She gently offered her hand to me in my exhausted state. I supported myself against her on the verge of collapsing.
リサさん、フラフラじゃないの？大丈夫？
平気よ。少し疲れただけよ。
もしかしてずっと私を探していたの？リサさん？
I was too embarrassed to answer her truthfully. I found myself trying to act tough.
これはクラス委員の務めよ。
She responded to my answer with a slight smile and didn't say anything.
ね、学校に戻りましょう、ミヤさん。
嫌よ。今日は学校には戻りたくないわ。
After resting for a bit, both my body and mind had the chance to settle down. But Mia-san was firm in her resolve not to return to school. So there was really nothing I could do at this point but leave her alone. I walked alongside her toward no place in particular. And before long, as our conversation turned trivial,
それじゃあミヤさん、今日はサボっていただけなの？
ええ、そうよ。
good grief. I realized her absence today wasn't because she couldn't bear to come to school. She was just cutting class again.
何よもう、あんなに心配したのに。それならいつも通り校内でサボればいいのに、どうして今日は外に出ちゃったのよ。
それは。
それは何？
In a rare show of hesitation, Mia-san looked reluctant to speak. I eyed her silently until finally she muttered in resignation. Resignation, or whatever you can pronounce.
昨日家でね、親と喧嘩してしまって、なんとなく学校には来たくなかったのよ。
Oh, I guess that was the reason why she got upset over a simple question like that. I don't know if I would agree to her, but it does happen. I don't know. I've seen similar situations like that.
なんとなく？
しょうがないでしょ。今日だけは本当に来たくなかったのだから。
何よその理由は。もう。
Even as I scolded her, I breathed a sigh of relief. It looked like it was just a parent-child conflict.
なんでそこでリサさんが安心したような顔するのかしら？
え、私そんな顔していたかしら？まったく目ざといわね。
違うわ。リサさんが分かりやすすぎるのよ。
そう。
でもどうしてなの？なんでリサさんがそんなに私のことを心配しているの？
うん、それは私昨日のことで。
Oh shit.
でも
うん、それは私昨日のことでミヤさんを怒らせてしまったのかと思ったのよ。
I accidentally right clicked. I don't know, like my hand is pretty sensitive, really. Anyway.
昨日？ああ、帰り際でのことね。
ええ、だからミヤさんもう私には付きまとわれたくなくて学校を休んだのかなって。
あら、そんなことないわ。昨日はついカッとなってしまったけれど。
けれど
リサさんのおせっかいにはもう慣れてきたものだから、あれくらいじゃ怒ったりしないわよ。
To your meddlesomeness, it'll take more than that to upset me.
おせっかいってもう。
I seem to be giving a lot of one-word responses.
まったくいい迷惑よ。私のせいじゃなくて親子喧嘩でサボって。私これで皆勤賞台無しなのよ。
あらそう。だったらどうして私を探しに来てくれたのかしら？
だって友達でしょ私たち。
Mia-san's eyes got wide and she stared at me. She stood as motionless as a bronze statue.
もしかして私に友達なんて言われて嫌だったのかしら。
But I was always concerned about Mia-san. Look at how worried I'd gotten when I thought something might have happened to her. So if you thought about it, we were friends, right?
ミヤさん、もし不快に思ったのなら。
まったくやられたわ。
なんて言ったの今。
あのね、まだ今日は帰りたくないわ。だからもう少し私の散歩に付き合ってくださらない？リサさん。
だって今日は午後まで授業が。
あら、私たち友達なんでしょ？友達の頼み聞いてくださらないの？
もうはいはいわかったわよ。
I had to go and use the F word. So there was no backing out now. F word. There's hardly any swearing in there, but whatever. I'm gonna let that slide.
まったく案外わがままなのねミヤさんって。
ありがとう。
But seeing her smile like that, her face looked just as lovely, no, even more lovely, more captivating than when we first met.
やっぱり顔だけはいいのよね。うん、顔だけは。
My heart was starting to beat a little faster. I guess I had no choice. I decided to keep walking with Miya-san a little bit longer. Ever since parting ways with Risa-san, I suddenly found it difficult to breathe. My heart was beating wildly.
この気持ち、何なのかしら。
It's called the feeling of love right there. I never would have suspected Risa-san would be so desperate to find me.
私にもたれかかってきたリサさん、とてもいい匂いだった。今まで知らなかったわ。
I thought she looked unbearably cute, so exhausted and defenseless, and then that moment she said, "We're friends, aren't we?" as though it went without saying. I felt a warmth spread through me like a dagger in my chest. I couldn't speak, couldn't move.
ひょっとして私は。
I had a certain fondness for Risa-san. No, this was more than a mere fondness.
きっとこれは。
A special kind of affection. That's what I would call it if I had to give it a name.
安住リサ。
Just whispering her name caused my pulse to quicken even more. She finally opens up that time. Standing outside the teacher's lounge, I took a deep breath for the dozenth time.
うまく話せるといいんだけど。
Hopefully. This was about me suddenly rushing out of the classroom yesterday to go looking for Miya-san. I had to explain myself to the teacher and apologize.
皆勤賞がダメになるのは仕方ないとして、クラス委員長としてあるまじき行為をしてしまったんだもの。よし、行くわよ。失礼します。お。
Let me guess, Mia is in there. I was suddenly startled. There was already someone there speaking with the teacher. It was...
綾瀬さん。
Yep, I knew. See, yeah.
あら、安住さん、ごきげんよ。
安住さんも来たのね。ちょうどよかったわ。
I started to walk over to them, still not sure what was going on.
綾瀬さんから昨日の件についていろいろと説明をしてもらったのよ。
そうだったんですか。
What on earth had Mia-san told her? I looked at her, starting to get nervous. She just smiled casually in response, which didn't help my uneasiness. Nah, what basically Mia is going to do is that she explains everything to the teacher that Risa is just concerned of her skipping school. But yeah, I guess.
こんな場所でもふざけているんだから。もう
安住さん、
はい、何でしょうか。
とりあえず大体の事情は分かりました。それであなたの皆勤賞のことだけど。
はい。
I had run out of class in plain view of everyone. Obviously, my record was ruined.
今回は特別措置ということにしておくから。
Extenuating circumstances.
ということは。
It means you're basically off the hook, which means it's excused absence.
お咎めなしってことね、安住さん。
Exactly.
本当ですか、先生。
今回だけですよ。今後は気をつけてくださいね。
はい、ありがとうございます。
I could hardly believe it was true. I couldn't believe I'd gotten off with the warning. Things are going pretty well. But I'm going to end it here. So, like, comment, and subscribe, and next part we're going to see what happens next. So, bye-bye.